3 days after I ran from our wedding, my fiancée killed herself in the house she had prepared for us. All her assets were left to me. While sorting through her belongings, I found walls covered with photos of me. Her housekeeper told me, "Miss Eleanor loved you for many years. Her life was tragic, and she suffered from severe depression. Only seeing you or thinking of you brought her any relief." Every word was shocking, suffocating, yet tinged with an inexplicable sadness. So, starting over, when my first love proposed the plan for me to flee the wedding again, I smiled and refused. I'm not going. I wanted to see just how foolish this woman who loved me to death truly was. Home. I'll pretend I didn't hear what you said today. I'm getting married, and you should be more careful in the future too, otherwise people might misunderstand, and it'll be hard to explain. She stared at me in panic, tears suddenly falling. She murmured softly, "I just missed my chance by a little while. Is there really no turning back?" We're friends? I used the word she had used on me in the past life to answer her. If you want, we can be friends forever. When I pushed open the door, Eleanor was sitting on the sofa, radiating negativity. Why are you so late today? Ran into a friend downstairs, chatted for a bit. I placed the pastries I brought on the table. Turning back, I saw she still looked gloomy, finding it odd. What's wrong with you? Eleanor looked up at me, her voice tinged with an inexplicable grievance. How did your chat with Isabel go? I started to ask how she knew, then remembered the people she had watching me and decided it wasn't necessary. I told her the truth. She came looking for me, said she wanted to leave with me. A sinister glint flashed in Eleanor's eyes. I patted her shoulder, pulling her into my arms, saying lazily, but I refused her. I told her I like you more. Eleanor slowly murmured, and, oh, my smile widened. Aren't you going to praise me? What's there to praise? I declared my loyalty to you right in front of another woman. I pinched her delicate cheek playfully, pretending to be annoyed. How can you show no reaction at all? Eleanor looked at me bewildered. After a moment, she got up and took a box from the drawer. Opening it revealed a diamond watch. It looked familiar. Is this the one from the Hong Kong auction? Yes, I burst out laughing. The watch was nice, very valuable, but Eleanor had spent $30 million on it at the time. The headlines that night were all about the fool who spent $30 million on a watch. Why did you buy this? You like blue, she said softly. I thought it suited you. Thank you, Eleanor. I wrapped my arms around her neck, nuzzling her cheek. The auction was 2 months ago. Why bring it out today? You seemed unhappy just now, she whispered. I originally planned to give it to you on your birthday, but I thought maybe it could make you happy now. When was I on? I remembered my feigned annoyance just moments ago and shut my mouth, finding it rather funny. This person really couldn't tell the difference between genuine and feigned anger. I squeezed her cheek. I wasn't angry really, but I'm still very happy now. Ellie, I really like you more and more. Eleanor's cheeks flushed slightly. She let me pull her onto my lap, letting me kiss her forehead. Honestly, apart from that one time she lost control, I didn't really perceive Eleanor's illness much. When facing me, she just seemed like a normal person who was slightly emotionally slow and didn't quite understand men. But her assistant repeatedly warned me not to provoke her. I couldn't help but ask, has her condition worsened lately? No, the assistant stammered. Miss Eleanor's mood has actually improved a lot. She doesn't need sleeping pills at night anymore. Then why do you keep bothering me? Miss Eleanor got better because you got closer. If you get tired of her and leave, the consequences will be truly severe. He pleaded, I don't know what your motives are for approaching Miss Eleanor, but please, I beg you, don't just walk away casually. Miss Eleanor will genuinely lose her mind and I added silently in my head. I patted his shoulder. Don't worry, I care about her more than you do. I wasn't some savior, nor a professional therapist. I could only do my best to make Eleanor less sad. I wanted her to be happier. If her mood improved, other things would likely follow. When Eleanor's mother contacted me, I was somewhat surprised. After all, this was the first I'd heard of her family. Her mother was from New York, dressed in similarly luxurious attire, the face resembling Eleanor's but possessing a completely different aura. She exuded a sinister quality that I found terrifying right off the bat. She told me bluntly, Mr. Ethan, I want you to leave my daughter. I was a bit stunned. I picked up my teacup, took a sip, and calmly asked, how much money are you offering? 20 million, enough for your family to weather its current crisis. I paused. I hadn't even known my family was in crisis. I subtly assessed her for a moment, then decisively said, "We're truly in love. You'll have to add more. A necklace Eleanor bought me cost 30 million. Your offer isn't enough to tempt me." She scoffed. "Do you think being with her is a good thing?" She looked at me mockingly. "Have you contacted any of your ex-girlfriends lately? Go ask around. See how many are still alive. And that Isabel? Do you think Eleanor will let her off? What about your sister? You think blood relation matters? Let me tell you, Eleanor won't spare her either. Your love is so grand, yet everyone around you suffers. And you're kept in the dark like a fool, knowing nothing. Isn't it laughable?" I frowned, my eyes filling with disgust. "I trust Eleanor. She's not that kind of person. Whether she is or not, why don't you investigate and find out?" She smiled confidently. "They say daughters take after their mothers. The methods I used on her father, she'll absolutely use on you. Believe it or not. Then your husband probably isn't by your side anymore." "No, quite the contrary. We're very happy now." She laughed, looking smug. "He couldn't escape. He resigned himself to it. He still has living family he couldn't bear to abandon. He's very gentle now, very obedient, waiting for me at home every day, soft, mild. All his claws and fangs clipped, tamed until he can only depend on me, docile as a caged bird." I jolted awake. It was just a dream. The north wind howled against the window pane, breaking my days. I belatedly realized my back was drenched in cold sweat. I had never met anyone as repulsive as Eleanor's mother in my life. Just thinking about her smug, taming theory made me want to vomit. It was still afternoon. I had napped for nearly 3 hours. I checked my phone. 16 missed calls from Eleanor. I dialed her back. Before I could speak, Eleanor's rapid, urgent voice cut me off. "Why weren't you answering my calls? You met her, didn't you? What did she say to you? Are you thinking you don't want me anymore? You want to leave? Call off the wedding? Break up with me?" "Stop guessing." I cut her off wearily. "No, I didn't answer because I was asleep. Don't overthink it." Eleanor fell silent, her breathing heavy. After a moment, she said pitifully, "Ethan, I'm scared." Her voice was so mournful, so pathetic, it flooded me with sympathy. I sighed. "Even though she's your mother, to me she's a stranger. I trust you more, do you understand?" Eleanor didn't answer, just said very softly, "Ethan, I want to see you." Eleanor came to my house to pick me up. The moment I got in the car, she pulled me close. She held me tightly, burying her head in my shoulder, pleading tearfully, "Don't believe her. Don't believe a single word, okay?" I patted her back, replying concisely, "I only believe you." Eleanor lifted her head, tears clinging to her eyelashes. Under my guidance, she could now express her emotions freely in front of me, whether hurt, sad, or anything else. She knew to tell me instead of bottling it up, just like now. She mumbled sullenly, "Can you please not see her again in the future? I was so scared today when you didn't answer my calls. I felt like I was really going to die." "Don't say that word." I covered her mouth. "You will definitely live a long and healthy life." Eleanor's emotional train was interrupted, leaving her momentarily stunned. I ruffled her hair, a slight curve on my lips. "If you don't want me to see her, then I won't. I only met her because of you anyway. Ellie, you need to be more confident in yourself." I squeezed her hand. "No matter what anyone says about you, I won't believe a bit of it. I only trust what I see and hear, what you tell me. You are truly an outstanding person, Eleanor. You're amazing, and you must be confident, understand?" Eleanor suffered from deep-seated insecurity. I didn't know what she had gone through to make her so self-doubting and timid, especially in relationships, always frantic like a headless fly, feeling unworthy of anyone's love. These days, I seized every opportunity to praise her, from her looks to her knowledge, from her wealth to her status, even remarking that her fingernails were exceptionally cute. Only with enough confidence could she stop being like a frightened bird living in constant anxiety. I wanted Eleanor to find relaxation and joy in our relationship, not to be constantly tense, wondering if I was angry or how to please me. That would be exhausting. "Ellie, I'm an adult. I have my own judgment. I won't change my opinion of you based on a few careless words from her." I leaned over and hugged Eleanor's shoulders. "I like you, and I have a mouth. If something comes up, I'll ask. I absolutely won't leave. Besides, you're so exceptional, I don't want to let you go and benefit someone else." Eleanor's eyes sparkled like diamonds, brilliant and radiant. Compared to when I first met her, her cold demeanor had noticeably lessened, replaced by more warmth, no longer resembling that piece of deadwood ready to crumble at any moment. My presence had finally tangibly affected her. I could guess that Eleanor's family background caused her great pain, but when she held me close and whispered that she disliked her name, I was still a bit surprised. She hated me for coming between her and Dad, so she gave me this name, hoping I'd die early. Evening snow, like the setting sun. From the moment she was born, her mother wanted her dead. How could such a person exist? My heart felt heavy. I held her hand. But your father loved you. He didn't love me, Eleanor said with a bitter smile. He was just tied down by me. He's different from you. He's a very traditional man. Even with higher education, he stubbornly valued family above all else. After I was born, all his resistance became hollow. He couldn't abandon me out of a sense of responsibility, but on his own, he couldn't provide me with a comfortable life, so he was forced to accept his fate. As she spoke, her tone was frantic and chaotic, her eyes red and watery as if veiled in mist. It pains me to see her like this, but none of this is your fault. You shouldn't bear the bitter consequences of your mother's actions. Stroking her soft, long hair, I told her seriously, Ellie, you're amazing, outstanding. Your father would definitely be proud of the person you are today. Eleanor gave another bitter smile. She leaned against me. Only you always think I'm good. So Ethan, I only have you. She wrapped her arms around me tightly, pleading earnestly. You absolutely cannot leave me, or I'll go crazy. Opening my email and seeing the pile of harassing messages, for a moment I wanted to meet that person. How much hatred must she harbor to resent her daughter's happiness so much, determined to destroy it? I took a deep breath. The emails were mostly threats or attached photos of my exes, detailing how miserable their current situations were, followed by earnest advice to stay away from her. I didn't even look closely, just deleted them all. Lately, I'd been busy preparing for the wedding, overwhelmed by the guest list from my side, so my contact with Eleanor had lessened. That's why when I received an urgent call from her assistant in the evening saying she had attempted suicide, I didn't register it at first. A moment later, it felt like I'd plunged into an ice cave. Eleanor had attempted suicide right after seeing her mother. I don't know what that woman said to her, what triggered her fragile nerves, but as soon as she left, Eleanor slit her wrists. Fortunately, she was discovered quickly. Outside the emergency room, I leaned against the wall, my teeth chattering uncontrollably. How could such a mother exist? She must have known Eleanor's mental state was fragile, yet she mercilessly pushed her towards death without hesitation. When Eleanor was wheeled out, she had an IV drip in her hand, her face deathly pale. The healthy color she had painstakingly regained over the past weeks was completely gone. I sat on the chair beside her bed, staring blankly at her, lost in thought for a long time, until she woke up. First thing she saw upon waking was me. Her voice was hoarse and raspy as she called my name. Ethan. I ignored her, got up, and went out to call the doctor. After the doctor removed the IV, I stood by the bed, silently staring at her pale face until she grew frightened. She said anxiously, If you're unhappy, just yell at me. Hit me even. Just don't be like this. Ethan, don't ignore me. She seemed terrified of the silent treatment. Every time I put on a stern face and ignored her, she'd panic like a lost child, tugging at my sleeve, begging for forgiveness. But this time I wasn't going to indulge her. I ignored her for an entire day, watching her grow anxious and lost, sinking into confusion and self-loathing. The gruesome scar on her wrist was reopened several times, bleeding again, prompting even the doctor to advise me. Consider the patient's feelings first. I know, I said softly. Don't worry. Back in the room, Eleanor was listless, her gaze vacant as she stared out the window. She was too fragile, too defeated, like a soulless vessel. Eleanor. I stood about 10 feet away, calling her name softly, my voice devoid of emotion. She seemed to realize something, closing her eyes in pain, refusing to answer. But I ignored her evasion and told her plainly, maybe we should call off the wedding after all. Crash. The vase on the bedside table shattered. Her expression contorted momentarily with fury, then quickly shifted to dejection and utter despair. She called my name, her voice raspy. Ethan. She scrambled, trying to climb out of bed to reach me, tearing open the wound on her wrist again, fresh blood welling up. I stepped forward, pressing down on her wrist, and stroked her messy hair. What are you planning to do now? Lock me up like your mother did to your father? Tame me until I only obey you? Or would you rather hurt yourself than lay a finger on me, Ethan? Eleanor looked up like a small, frightened animal, staring at me helplessly. I answered for her. You'd choose the second option, wouldn't you? I leaned down and kissed her lips, a lingering touch devoid of passion. As I pulled away, I pinched her cheek lightly. Ellie, you're not like your mother, and I'm not your father. We won't end up like them. Ellie, my dear, darling, what exactly are you so afraid of? I think I could glimpse a bit of her mother's psychology. She knew that even though Eleanor's father had resigned himself and stayed with her his whole life, he wasn't happy at all. The marriage was far from the blissful picture she imagined, so she couldn't stand seeing Eleanor happy. Eleanor obtaining the love she desired so easily made her feel like a failure, even enraged. She kept emphasizing to me that Eleanor was her daughter and would inevitably commit the same monstrous acts. She was constantly trying to brainwash Eleanor too. I checked the surveillance footage. The last thing she said to Eleanor before leaving was, "Just you wait. As long as you're alive, sooner or later you won't be able to resist dragging him back, locking him up, just like I treated your father. When that happens, your father's present will be his future." Watching this, I gave a sarcastic smile. So this woman knew her own husband, Eleanor's father, was miserable enough that threatening another man with the same fate was a useful tactic. Eleanor didn't want me to become like her father. She didn't want to hurt me, and she loathed the perceived tainted genes within her. Under duress, she unhesitatingly chose to end her own life. Do you see the difference between you and her now? I crouched by the bed, looking seriously into Eleanor's eyes. When she learned your father was leaving, she resorted to coercion, threats, even imprisonment, utterly classless actions. But you would only hurt yourself. I took her uninjured right hand, lacing our fingers together. Ellie, do you think someone like you would ever hurt me? Eleanor's throat moved, her eyes red, looking at me with sorrow. But I'm scared, Ethan. You're so good, so proud. I'm afraid you'll become like my father. We won't, I told her again. Ellie, we will have a very happy future. Humans are essentially predators, possessing primal, ugly desires, but what's valuable is the ability to suppress and control them. You worry you might hurt me one day, but you controlled that impulse, choosing suicide rather than harm a single hair on my head. Believe in yourself. Humanity has evolved for so long. We're no longer primitive beasts hunting in the forest. I looked into her eyes. And please believe in me too, okay? I'm not your mother. I don't hold on to outdated traditional values. My willingness to stay by your side is solely because I like you very, very much, Ethan. Eleanor, I repeated, telling her very seriously, please believe me. I've dated many people. I've become quite indifferent towards relationships, and I despise selfish women. If I hadn't met you, I probably wouldn't have dated anyone ever again, just like in my previous life, dying alone on an expedition. Having dated too much in my youth made everything seem dull until I met Eleanor. She respected me so much, was so obedient in front of me. She was as docile as a mindless kitten. What started as pity evolved naturally into affection. No guy could dislike her. I arranged to meet Eleanor's mother in the coffee shop. I looked at the woman in the luxurious suit and asked softly, I heard your husband used to be a diplomat, a commanding presence on the international stage, quite dashing. She narrowed her eyes. Why are you bringing this up? And now he can only stay at home, his figure gradually becoming bloated, his mind growing dull, unable to keep up with the times, making you find him repulsive by now. You've realized that the man you loved, the one who captivated you, was that charismatic figure, not this nagging old man at home who annoys you now, haven't you? Shut up, she tried to interrupt me. I ignored her, just smiled and told her. And unfortunately, it was you who personally created this tragedy. I didn't know if she had affairs, but judging by her demeanor, it seemed likely. Such intense love eventually dissipated under the grind of domestic life. She must have regretted it, wondering why after everything went her way, nothing felt perfect anymore. Eleanor, I said softly, she's already suffered enough because of you and your husband. You shouldn't invent your own frustrations on her. If you remain obstinate, I smiled slightly. My politeness towards you now is only because you are Eleanor's mother. The moment I find out you intend to harm her, I will not spare you." She didn't get angry. Instead, she slumped onto the chair, her expression somewhat dazed. I voiced the thought she likely had. "Are you perhaps thinking that if your husband had half my backbone, you wouldn't have ended up like this? You're wrong. If I encountered someone like you, the only outcome would be mutual destruction, both of us dying together. With your personality, any man who fell into your hands would end up miserable." I had provoked her. She shot up, raising her hand to strike. My bodyguard intercepted her, and they scuffled. A 50-year-old woman being wrestled to the ground by a bodyguard was rather humiliating. I chuckled softly, looked at her, and repeated what I'd said earlier. "Madam," as I said, "I am not your husband, nor am I some pushover you can easily manipulate. I'll repeat myself one more time. Stay away from Eleanor, otherwise." I poured a cup of scalding coffee over her head. "I definitely won't let you off. While I don't condone fighting fire with fire, I have to admit violence can solve many problems." Chicago was still the territory of established families. She couldn't fight me. Seething with resentment, she completely disappeared after the wedding. With Eleanor, she leaned against me, childlike, giggling somewhat foolishly. Ethan," she murmured, as if in disbelief. "I finally married you." "Silly girl." I patted her back exasperatedly. "You drank so much. Go take a shower." She giggled and went into the bathroom. I set out the aromatherapy candles I bought specifically for the wedding night and waited for her expectantly on the bed. I have to say, compared to Eleanor, I was much more experienced. The moment she saw me, her cheeks instantly flushed crimson, utterly adorable. She took tiny steps towards me, hesitantly reaching out her hand. I smiled and grasped it. That night, I had a terrible dream. I dreamed of Eleanor's previous life. After I ran away, her mother came to provoke her, gloating, "See? Soon you won't be able to resist dragging him back, locking him up, just like I did to your father. Stop pretending. Your true nature is that of a greedy lunatic. How your father is now, that's how he'll end up. You'll drive him mad." I saw Eleanor clutching her head in agony, repeatedly growling, "No." Lying in that room full of my photos, her face contorted, repeating, "No." She didn't want to hurt me, so she resolutely chose to end her own life. I woke up startled. My back was drenched in cold sweat. I opened my eyes. Eleanor was sleeping peacefully in my arms. I gently touched her beautiful features and got out of bed. Standing before the locked room, I took her large keychain and tried key after key. The door opened. I stepped into the room that had haunted my nightmares. Eleanor's suicide was likely an act of self-destruction born from intense pressure and disgust towards her own perceived genetic inheritance. As she looked at the walls covered with my photos, blood flowing freely from her wrist, feeling life ebb away, her gaze caressed my smiling face inch by inch. Even in her final moments, her eyes were filled only with me. I remembered the trending topic from my past life. #1 love brain wasn't entirely wrong. Even now, I didn't know where Eleanor's love for me came from. She wouldn't tell me. I asked many times, but she refused to say. Perhaps couples need some secrets between them. If she didn't want to say, I wouldn't ask anymore. Ethan. Turning around, Eleanor, who I thought was asleep, stood behind me, silhouetted against the light. She looked a little crestfallen, asking nervously, "Do you think I'm a creep?" I shook my head and walked over, taking her cold hand. "Why are you awake?" "You weren't there?" She sounded aggrieved. The bed was cold. I couldn't help but chuckle. When we first met, she was cold and distant, unsure how to respond to me. Now she could already seek attention playfully, quite proficiently. Whether child or adult, once someone experiences favoritism, they naturally exhibit childlike attention-seeking behaviors. She realized what she was doing, then tugged my sleeve again, asking cautiously, "Do you think I'm a creep?" "No, just a bit surprised," I said honestly. "I didn't realize you started liking me so early on." "You don't blame me?" "Why would I blame you for liking me?" Eleanor's cheeks reddened. She wrapped her arms around my waist. "You're so good to me. Does that mean you'll indulge me no matter what I do?" "I just trust you won't do anything to hurt me." I turned around, wrapping my arms around her neck. "I trust your character. Towards someone who would rather harm herself than hurt me in the slightest, I refuse to harbor any malicious speculation. True affection is rare in this world, and mutual love even rarer." I cherish Eleanor's feelings just as she cherished me. A favored child, facing the risk of that favor being taken away, will unhesitatingly lash out. Like Eleanor's current attitude towards Isabel. It took considerable effort to stop her from throwing away the gift Isabel sent. Isabel had given me a set of hand-knit pajamas. A tiny heart was embroidered on the chest, radiating intimacy and ambiguity. Eleanor wanted to flip out the moment she saw it, but held back when I glared at her, sitting sullenly on the sofa without moving. I ignored her and picked up the pajamas, examining them. "What's so interesting about them?" she muttered, leaning closer, wanting me to hold her. Her warm breath tickled my neck. She was clearly unhappy but didn't dare voice it, only calling softly, "Honey." "All right." I took her hand, feeling a headache coming on, and stuffed the pajamas into her hands. "You deal with it, just don't throw it away, or it'll be awkward if she finds out." So Eleanor took scissors to them, venting her anger by cutting them into tiny pieces. I watched silently for a moment, then couldn't help asking, "Do you have some grudge against Isabel?" Her movements paused. She mumbled a quiet, I couldn't stand her before, being so close to you, yet getting entangled with other men, so disloyal. When she was dating other guys, I probably had girlfriends too. Eleanor's double standard made me want to laugh, but I held back, feeling it wasn't appropriate. "It doesn't matter now." I chuckled softly, comforting her. "Now I'm with my Ellie. She can't interfere anymore, right?" Eleanor's face turned completely red. She turned her head away, not looking at me, and whispered a small, "Amen." I never specifically tried to treat her depression. I just treated her like a normal person, doing my best to make her happy, coaxing her like a child, giving her ample sense of security. She naturally got much better. The insecurity and sensitivity stemming from her upbringing, I fully compensated for. She grew increasingly dependent on me, but alongside that, she also became more confident and vibrant. Her assistant talked to me once. "Actually, I always feel it's not ideal for the boss to attach her personal emotions so heavily to someone else, but there's really no other way. She might just be a hopelessly devoted type." He didn't dare say the words, "love brain," and I didn't fill them in for him. We understood each other. "Actually, I agree it's not ideal. Her emotional core relies on someone else, not herself. If something were to happen to me, her spirit wouldn't be able to sustain her life." I sighed. But life rarely offers perfect solutions. Since I accepted her, I should also accept the diversity of human personality reflected in her. I didn't want to force her to change. In a healthy, intimate relationship, both partners should derive spiritual joy and fulfillment, not painful alteration. I wanted her to be happy. Everything else was secondary. On our 3rd anniversary, Eleanor found out she was pregnant. She was very nervous, even faintly despondent, too anxious to sleep. I couldn't help asking what was wrong. She hugged me, saying sadly and pitifully, "Honey, I'm afraid I won't be a good mother. What if I don't raise the child well? Will you blame me in the future?" "No." I stroked her head. "You are always more important than the child. A child born into our family definitely won't starve. What they become, how they live, that's up to them. We are the ones who will spend our lives together." Her eyes widened, wanting to say something but unable to form the words. After a moment, she mumbled, "Honey, you're so strange." Maybe parents, after having children, often see themselves as candles burning for their offspring, paving the way for them their entire lives. I didn't want that. Life is short. If you don't live for yourself, how boring is that? Eleanor was different from me. She yearned deeply for a family. In her mind, a handsome husband, and obedient or noisy children represented the most beautiful vision of happiness. "Actually, I think you'll do great," I told Eleanor. "Everything you longed for in your childhood, you'll compensate for with the child. You'll be very good to her, and the process of being good to the child would in turn heal her own sad and difficult childhood. That's why I wanted a child for her." Eleanor hugged me, saying softly, "You are the most important. I just want a baby. I will definitely be good to her, very, very good." "Mhm," I smiled at her. "I believe you. I believe she would be fine, happy, and live a long life. I would be with her, watch her live smoothly and peacefully, having a happy and joyful life. We would have a wonderful future together." Epilogue. Eleanor never told Ethan that the first time she saw him was by a filthy gutter behind the high school. She was so dirty and smelly back then, starving, digging through trash cans for food. Then she met Ethan. He looked like an angel, wearing his school uniform, standing at the alley entrance, watching her calmly for a moment, a hint of pity in his eyes. He pulled $2,000 from his pocket and gave it to her. Go find something else to do. The teenager's voice was gentle. Stop doing things you don't like yourself. Eleanor didn't know why he helped her. Maybe it was pity, compassion, or maybe just boredom while passing by. All she knew was that Ethan saved her life. She used that $2,000 to buy a bus ticket to another city, worked day and night, used her incredible talent for stock trading, and caught the last wave of the internet boom. When she returned to Chicago, she was dressed in finery, surrounded by a large team of advisors, and Ethan was already known as Chicago's notorious playboy, changing girlfriends every couple of months, playing the field extensively. Eleanor wasn't surprised. She felt that a boy as handsome and kind-hearted as Ethan was destined for such a life, pursued by flocks of women. But she also felt sad. Perhaps it was the base, shameless part of her genes, but she often felt a primal urge, like a wild beast, to rush over, lock him up, and force herself on him. That wasn't right. She tried hard to restrain herself. The result of this restraint was mental strain. She developed a severe mental illness. Going to Ethan's family to force the marriage was a desperate, allure-nothing gamble. She longed so desperately to hold that godlike boy. Loneliness tormented her day and night, almost consuming her. But if Ethan wasn't willing, she wouldn't force him either. She didn't want to become a shameless person like her mother. Later, the boy willingly walked towards her. Eleanor felt her entire life was worth it. 6 years into their marriage, their child was already 2 years old. Eleanor dreamed of her past life. She died in that cold, dark, gloomy room filled with shadows. She saw Ethan place a single, vibrant rose beside her body. That night, Eleanor stood on the balcony all night long, her eyes bloodshot, gazed at the bright moon in the sky, round like the mooncakes her husband bought. Eleanor felt an indefinable sadness. If her husband had run away from the wedding, then her death seemed quite natural. The emotionally stable Eleanor couldn't imagine the extremism and despair of that period, but she felt it was somewhat normal. What wouldn't someone with a mental illness do? But her husband hadn't run away this life. What's wrong? Ethan wrapped his arms around her waist from behind. You've seemed down since this afternoon. Eleanor felt aggrieved, wanting to act cute with her husband, but she opened her mouth and didn't know what to say. She jumped into Ethan's arms, wrapping her legs around his lean waist, nuzzling his neck for a long time. Then she felt there was no need to ask anymore. Ethan didn't like her bringing up the past. He always said focus on living the future well, so she didn't want to dwell on it either. No matter what, this life he was by her side. She said with a smile, I love you so much, honey.